Welcome back to Balanced with Bailey. Happy February. Before we even get started, you already know I have my Alani. Let's crack her open. ASMR. I worked a night shift last night and then slept from 8 a.m. until like 12:30. Then I was being so productive for the balanced event that I'm throwing that I have just been on one, and it's 4:30 now. I'm boxing at 6, so you already know I need Alani because I'm at the point of not having enough sleep and being delusional. As you can tell, I'm already messing up my words, so hopefully that doesn't happen this entire episode, but who knows, it might. So sit down, grab a drink, grab a sweet treat. We're gonna talk, we're gonna chat, and it's gonna be so much fun, and you're gonna see me in my true post night shift sleep deprived delusion, which is so much fun. I can't believe it's already February. January drags by every year, and I'm so over it. I'm so excited for February. I don't know what it is this year, but I'm so excited for Valentine's Day. I've never really been a big February pink girly, but as you guys know, I have been in my pink era. If you're watching, I'm in my red workout top. I have my pink Alani, pink water bottle, pink flowers, and my cute pink slippers. They have little smiley faces on them, so I'm fully ready for February. I'm embracing it. The weather has been crappy. I don't know what's going on, why it's snowing and raining and cold now instead of in December when it should have been and it was 50 degrees, but I don't make the rules. So we're just going to deal with it. We're going to make it fun, cute vibes. I'm so excited. I'm going to McCall next weekend with all the girlfriends and their boyfriends are going. We rented a big house. We're going to ski, cute little Valentine's Day weekend trip. So definitely stay posted for that. I'll share about that because that's going to be so much fun and I'm so excited to see everyone together. Today, what I want to talk about is obviously the title of the episode, Balanced with Being in a Season of Learning. Let me tell you, I feel like lately I have just been learning so much in every aspect of my life that I feel like I'm just like continuing learning new things and realizing how much I don't know, or like feeling like in a place of like I'm almost there but not quite, and not frustration but like a waiting and learning period of time. I actually made notes for today's episode. Kind of proud of myself. Usually I just like start talking and like randomly see where it goes. Today's episode is, as you can tell by the title, Balanced with Being in a Season of Learning. And I feel like just, I don't know what it is, but every aspect of my life right now, I'm learning so much. And it's not like I'm necessarily in a period of waiting, because I'm not waiting for anything to happen. I'm just learning where I'm at and like how I want to further myself, further the podcast, my career, social media, working out, like all those things. I feel like I'm just learning so much that it's kind of putting me in a season of waiting, but also you can't wait when you're learning, because I feel like I every day am learning something new, soaking in information and like learning how to be better. Overall, truly just in a learning period in my 20s. I saw this quote from Mel Robbins and I feel like it perfectly just described what I was feeling. So she says, "The heart of confidence is action. It's the willingness to try, and all you need to know is that if you try, you're not going to die. You're just going to learn something new." And that perfectly just describes what I'm feeling, because it's the action of trying something new, putting yourself out there, doing things wrong the first time, maybe not doing things the best way or the easiest way, learning the easiest route and having to figure that out on your own, and just going with learning and fully accepting and absorbing everything you're learning, if you're wanting to or not. Like, I honestly feel like I'm not even trying to learn, and I'm just learning new things every day. Nursing, you're always learning. I'm back on night shift, so I'm relearning those routines, relearning the flow of the shift versus day shift, because it's so different being there for 12 hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. versus 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Just workflow, what you're doing. At night, you're promoting sleep. During the day, they're usually making big decisions on moving things, scheduling surgeries. At night, everything's a lot more sporadic and spur of the moment because it wasn't planned that way. Also, just being in the pediatric ICU in general, I learned so much every shift, and I think I will for the rest of my career and the rest of my time in the pediatric ICU because everything changes so fast in an ICU setting. Policies are always improving. There's weekly educations. You learn every time you go into a patient's room. You're going to learn something you can do better, what you did good. Like after a 12-hour shift, you make so many choices. You learn so much. And especially as a new grad, having this be my first job, I'm almost at a year. I have learned so much and I will continue to learn. So I feel like that's my main learning environment. But I've also been learning outside of that. We have our staff meetings, education. I have my STAR, which is my residency program. Once a month, I learn in those classes. It's just nursing your first couple of years is just absorbing as much information as you can and like applying that to your practice and being able to have the critical thinking to walk in a room. What's wrong? What's going on? How can I fix it? What are my A, B, C, and D plans? Worst thing that's going to happen. Okay, what are my rescue meds? What's this like suction bagging? Like I have all of these thoughts every time I walk in a room, and let alone if a charge nurse or a provider comes around and asks you a question about a disease or a process like that your kid has or something. Oh, well, why is their pH this level? Then you have to dive deep into your A&P anatomy and physiology labs and think about, you really have to think down to a cellular level all the time. And trust me, it gets so overwhelming, but then sometimes you answer the question right and you're like, she's smart. I know one of our providers is known for asking a lot of questions, and I answered one of the questions right during rounds, and let me tell you, I felt so good. I was like on top of the world. And then I answered the next one wrong. So it's always learning, always time to learn. And in a nursing setting, I think having your people to turn to learn and ask questions is so helpful. I was talking with some of the other newer nurses during our last staff meeting, and we were talking all about having your comfort people that you can go to who are a little bit more experienced than you, who you know aren't going to shame or like look down at you for asking dumb questions, or even just like that comfort person in a social environment that like knows the most about you. All of that is so beneficial, especially in nursing when you're there for 12 hours and are so emotionally involved in your patients and what you're doing, let alone critically thinking and making all of these choices yourself. Because you have other people to lean on, but ultimately like the choices you make are going to affect your patient, and that's kind of the heavier side of nursing, where if you don't have those critical thinking skills, things can go wrong. So you have to be able to make those choices, or if you don't make the right choices, lean on people, support, learn, again, keyword, learn how to do better next time. So I think nursing is learning. If I could honestly describe nursing in one word, it would be learning and constantly changing, moving, growing. It's never stagnant. It's never boring for sure. But that's like from my career standpoint, I've been learning so much this whole year. And I feel like right after you graduate college, you're going to learn so much. If you like your job, if you don't, how to find a job, which jobs you want, which ones you don't, benefits, all of that stuff. Post-grad can be such a roller coaster, in being able to navigate that and have friends to surround yourself with who also are going through that. It can be so important because, again, community, you learn best from others and get support from others. And there's no way you can learn and grow through work by yourself. So I think that's so important, is finding your work community and learning together and growing together, because everyone's always learning. No one ever has it figured out, especially in healthcare. No one ever knows what's going on. Like we do, but at the same time, like everything's always changing, everything's always growing. No matter if you've been there 5 minutes or 50 years, you're going to learn something new almost every shift. So don't forget that. Another thing I've been growing a lot with lately is social media. I know it's hard because it ebbs and flows. Sometimes you go through so much growth and views and you're just feeling great, and then randomly one day you're getting like 1,000 views a video and like 100 likes, and that's it. And I know it's not important to put numbers on things, but it can be hard when you see such big numbers sometimes, like hundreds of thousands, and then to 1,000 is kind of confusing. And you guys know the TikTok algorithm makes no sense, so it really just depends on what you post. And something I've learned is like the less I care about posting something, the better it does. I posted a video leaving night shift talking about how excited I am for Chick-fil-A, 100,000 views. I edited a vlog and took 45 minutes time stamping it, 1,000 views. So it's like really just post anything and everything. Growth will come, and it comes in waves. Like I'm at 15,000 followers now, almost at 16,000, and I feel like looking back on the past year, there were some months where I gained thousands of followers, had multiple brand deals, was making multiple hundreds of dollars in income, and then the next thing you know, you're not really seeing any growth. It's kind of stagnant. The brand deals aren't coming in as much, and that honestly just depends on what you're posting, who's seeing it, who happens to see it on their For You page, brands that happen to stumble across you or you stumble across them. And I think lately I've kind of been hard on myself with not seeing consistent growth, like skyrocketing, as I'm putting so much effort into my content and so much effort into everything I'm doing. But that's okay. I know it will come, and it does ebb and flow. And just because I'm really watching the numbers and putting so much work and effort into everything right now, I think it's harder when it's more stagnant. But you go through periods of that, and that's just something about social media. If you work in social media, you know that, or post, it's hard not to be so obsessed with it. I'm also working on learning to create more and consume less instead of doom scrolling. Like I randomly put together like collage videos or something, like taking my time and putting it into something that's going to help build my community and build my following, especially the balanced community, because that's something I'm really focusing on this year in 2025. And it's not going to grow by me watching everyone else's content and comparing myself and not learning what works for me. So from now on, we're focusing on our own social media, our own content, what works for us, how we learn to grow, what's growing, what's working, what's not, posting everything and just narrowing it down from there. Because if you post one video and it's about one thing and you never branch out of your comfort zone and like post a vlog, post a talking video, post short form content, long form content, you're not going to know what works and what doesn't. So you really just have to put yourself out there and learn to get over that fear. Like the Mel Robbins quote, if you try, you're not going to die. You're just going to learn something. So might as well learn now. And especially in my 20s, that's what I'm kind of putting on my year. Like this year, I feel like the word is learning, the word is balance, and just kind of gauging those two things throughout everything that I'm doing and putting my whole heart and effort into doing. So hopefully it'll pay off, who knows, but we'll see what happens. The next learning topic, I have a couple learning topics. The next one is learning with a podcast. You guys, if I should make a video of how I set this up and actually like edit everything and get it together. I'm a nurse. I am not IT. I'm not a producer. I don't even barely know how to work my laptop because I don't use it at work. Like I don't use a laptop. I use my hospital computer and that's it. So me plugging in the mic, getting it into GarageBand, it probably takes me 30 minutes every time just to get the mic to work. And I don't know what I do or what I don't do, but it's literally just plugging it in, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I literally just plug and unplug it for like probably 15 minutes. And then I have my phone set up and my tripod, and then I link the two together in CapCut, and I listen to it and edit and crop it all up. Then I export it, and then I export it all. Then I post it on Spotify, I post it on Apple Podcasts, post on YouTube, and that takes so much more time than you think it does. Like, I would say majority of my time doing the podcast is just figuring out how things work, and I'm sure there's easier ways. I'm going to invest in a soundboard and different things to link the video and audio and just have it be an easier way to set up. But it's expensive, honestly. Like, it's definitely a commitment money-wise, and I'm in a good financial place where I can do that. But until then, your girl struggles, and it's a lot to do the pod. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate it that my work is going towards something, because I'm not a tech girl. I never claimed to be a tech girl. I hope I get better at it, and I know with time I will. And it'll be fun when I have a real camera and get to produce and do everything and feel so confident. But right now I'm learning, and that's why it's one of my learning topics, is because every time I do an episode, it gets better. Every time I put it together, my editing skills get better, my topics get better, the words flow better. And I just think learning each episode is exciting and it's fun, because already going back to my first episode, I'm like, wow, I had a lot to learn and grow from, and it's just gonna get better from there. My episode last week with Annabelle, I learned so many things about interviewing, so many things about how to host an interview online on a different platform, record. My mic cut out halfway through, so I had to go in and layer some things and crop and edit and just like do a whole bunch of extra work, because I didn't know that my mic cut out when it did, and just things like that, where it's like, okay, you can take it as a trial, as a setback, whatever, or you could learn from it and see what to do better next time and like how to grow from that. And I definitely grew and learned a lot from that episode, and I can't wait to do an episode with her one day in person when we finally get to meet up and hang out. But it was such a good place to start, and it was my first time interviewing anyone ever. I've never done that before, and we'd never met before besides like online, so it was so fun to get to put myself out there. I was so nervous before. I had all my questions written down, and it went so well. I'm so proud of that episode, and I know it's just going to get better with every interview. So everyone has to start somewhere. You learn and you grow, and I just can't reiterate that enough. One of the biggest things I've been learning and being in a season of learning, balancing, is with my faith, with my church. I have been going to Oasis City, if you guys are in Boise, you know where that is, for about a year now, I would say, maybe a little less than a year. It's a super small church. Next week, they'll have been established for 2 years. Super small, so cute. I'm obsessed with it. And I kind of had the thought to do like, coffee and like Bible study, or like get together with the girls in that community. But I was already overwhelmed with the podcast and starting this community, overwhelmed with work and still learning everything there, learning fitness and helping culture grow, that I was like, okay, I'm going to sit back, and God, if it's really something I should do, let me know. We'll work on it. We'll talk it through. Me and you, we got this. And 2 weeks later, I got an email from my pastor's wife, Brooke, and she said, would you be interested in leading a small group? They start the end of February. So next week they're announcing it in church, and I'm going to be one of the small group leaders. So I think I'm learning to trust, if God puts it in my heart, it's going to happen. It's going to be okay. The podcast, God put it in my heart to do this, and I know it's going to be big. And I'm already so amazed by the community that we've built and that you're a part of, and just the amazing people that have so much in common, and that none of that wouldn't have happened if God didn't put that in my heart. So same thing with the small group. I was getting really overwhelmed, and then Izzy was like, wait, what if I started a chapter here in Chicago? So we have all of that working behind the scenes. We're learning how to start a small group, how to start a women's Bible study, how we can advance our faith to help others, because I'm in no place to be a pastor or to be preaching to anyone, because I'm still so new in my journey. And I think that was a big thing. I was questioning myself and kind of questioning God, like, are you sure you want me to be the one to do this? Because I don't know as much as I feel like I should. And I think him sending the email ultimately and like setting it up for me without me even knowing was like, yes, and you don't have to know everything. You're human. We're learning. I'm always going to be learning. There's always something to learn from that relationship and grow. No one's ever going to be perfect. No one's ever going to know anything in faith. And I'm so excited to learn and grow within the church. Even this last weekend, I met a new friend, and she's like 85, and just like learning how to pray with other people, learning how to grow in a church setting, and have that whole other side and community that I really didn't expect growing into what it has grown into and continue to learn from and be a part of. So that's something I didn't even see coming, but that's another part of learning. So as I get deeper into what I'm learning about, you can see that like there are so many aspects of life that you can learn and pull from that even if you don't want to be learning, you're gonna learn. Like that's the human experience. And none of that, the topics I've even touched on yet, have been with relationships or friendships. You're always learning from your significant others. You're always learning from your parents, from the people around you, your friends around you. I made a TikTok talking about the theories of thirds. I've really been thinking about lately. It's if you hang out with two gossipers, you're going to be the third. If you hang out with two liars, you're going to be the third. If you hang out with two cheaters, you're going to be the third. Choose who you want to be and who you surround yourself with, because look in the mirror. Those people are your mirror. Who you surround yourself with, your environment, is who you are and who you're going to become. So if there's any question of it being negative, or the people around you question you or put you down or just don't support you, new environment. It's the sign for change. That's a learning point to take in that what you've learned, think about it, and change. It's scary, it's hard, especially if you're in your 20s, but those are when the best things happen. It's also not just learning from those relationships or friendships, the people around you. It's also what you bring into those relationships. Like, it's not just how people affect you, it's how you affect other people. And you want to be the person who shows up talking highly of everyone. You want to be the person who shows up excited to see everyone, who says hi and introduces himself to random people. Learning how to approach others in a new way can be hard and scary, and something I've definitely been working on, and just like talking to people I don't know and putting yourself out there in a positive way, but learning how you want people to view you. You can totally have, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you can be in charge of that, and like yourself and how you show up. You can be in charge of how you show up to different things. So put the effort in. And if it's bad for you, or you don't feel like you want to, or the situation, or you don't want to go, don't go. Don't put yourself in a bad situation just because you feel like you have to. Show up in the situations you want to show up in. I listed off all of the places I'm learning and growing right now, between nursing, social media, podcast, my faith in the church, relationships, friends, just life in general, learning and growing in my 20s. So now that I talked about all of those, I hope you can resonate with one of those things, or one of those areas where you're like, wow, I'm feeling the same way and I'm learning and I'm growing in that situation. So this week, from now on, we're acting like the people we want to become, because you know what? That's something you have to learn. You have to learn how to act like the person you want to become, because it's so easy to fall into bad routines, old habits. I think I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Mel Robbins lately, and I've been listening to her podcast, and like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you wake up, don't hit snooze, turn your alarm off, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stand up, make your bed. Choosing to do that and acting like the person you want to be is how you're ultimately going to get there. And if it's scary, if it's hard, it was put in your heart for a reason. And if you have that thought, act on it. If it's a good thought, because that could be bad. But if you have that desire deep down to do something, do it, because that is whatever you believe in, God, the universe, you do you, but that's whatever you believe in telling you that you should be doing something, and you should go do it. So this week we're acting like the people we want to become. Do something that you would do if you were that person, if you were that perfect person, if you were exactly where you wanted to be, if you had everything right, even though obviously we don't have all of those things and that's not how life works. But if you start to act that way, it's going to happen that way, because you're putting yourself at a higher standard and challenging yourself to really look at how you can be successful, and honestly just give yourself the strength. Because if you don't, it's basically like, if you don't value yourself as much as you should, you're just hurting your own self. If you're not acting like the person you want to become, if you're not acting like the best version of yourself, you're ultimately just hurting yourself. No one's going to come help you. No one's going to fix it for you. No one's going to like change you for you. You have to one day just wake up and decide, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to do it. It's the hard truth, but it's true. And God, the universe, whatever, put in your heart to do it. So if this resonates with you at all, or you're thinking like, wow, okay, like I need to live as the highest version of myself now, we're going to do it together. We're going to start this week. It's going to be great. And even in every little moment, I think also something I've been noticing lately is when I have a negative thought like about myself, or like I look in the mirror and I say something negative, or just like think something negative, I immediately stop and say 2 nice things about myself. Or if I say something negative about a situation, I stop, take a step back and say, okay, what could I say instead that would be not as negative or more positive? Like when something happens, be like, okay, maybe this is a learning point, or maybe this happened because blank, blank, and blank, fill in the gaps. All of these different seasons mean we're learning different things. No matter if you're in college still learning to get your degree, in your 20s and don't have a job and just figuring it out, in your 30s and you have a family, or you're 40 and you're single, I don't know, whatever you're doing, each different season you're learning different things. So the seasons are going to change, the learning is going to change, it's never going to end. So enjoy the learning that you're in now. Enjoy the time and the space that you're in now, because you're never going to experience it again. So absorb everything you can, learn everything you can from yourself, from just life around you. And one day when you're in a different season of learning, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I'm so glad that I absorbed everything I could and learned everything I could in that season, because it helped me so much now. It's easy to feel stuck, and feeling stuck is a signal that you're not growing. So you have to push yourself. This goes along with us acting like the people we want to become. We're pushing ourselves if you're feeling stuck, because you're not growing. So I know it's easy to feel stuck in routines, habits, all of that, but it's because you're just not growing. You have to challenge those thoughts, challenge those feelings, and choose to grow. Choose one area, choose one thing you're going to do. Okay, I'm going to grow in fitness. I'm going to start working out more. I'm going to start making my routine better, or I'm going to grow in my career more, focus and learn something new for my job, or learn something that I can take and be more successful with, anything like that. Or even I'm going to start going to church and grow in my faith, or I'm going to sit down and read my Bible for 5 minutes every day, or I'm going to work on my relationships and how I show up for people and show up for experiences and events, or I'm going to change how I show up for myself. Change, grow. I use those words interchangeably, but like grow for myself. I'm going to change something positive for myself this week, and just do it for 1 week and see if it makes a difference. Do it for a day. Even if you just do it once, it's going to make a difference, and that's going to get you out of feeling stuck and help you feel growth just by learning to do one thing differently, and then you stack it. And that's how you form habits. So right now, I want you to think about one thing you're going to do this week. In whatever season of learning that you're in, think of one thing you can do to grow. What's one area that you feel stuck, and that signal's going off that you're stuck and you need to grow in? Think of one thing that would help in that situation and start doing it this week, because I think it's easier said than done, but once you do that first step and do it one time, you realize how amazing your life can be and how easy it is to change and grow and learn and get out of a rut and get unstuck. I just sat here and gave you all of that advice. So this week, what I'm going to learn and grow from, that I'm going to do differently, is I think self-care. I've been so busy with working 12-hour shifts and then going straight into emailing brands, planning my balanced event, into podcast episodes, editing, planning, taking notes, social media, posting on my personal account and the Balanced with Bailey account, trying to grow both of them, focusing so much on the numbers that this week I'm going to take a shower, read a book, like take time off and away from all of those things and not force myself to focus so much on the growth of the numbers and all of that, and just trust that it's going to work out and I don't need to micromanage it all, basically. and have such a tight grip that I need to relax on that. So this week I'm going to learn where I need time and space to myself and learn how to ask for help with things and delegate to other people and prioritize self-care, time alone, reading, just doing things that I want to do that might not be benefiting me in any way, but that's also okay. I don't need to be productive every second of every day. So that was a long way of getting there. But basically, one thing I'm going to do this week is learn to take time being unproductive. Or not even unproductive, because that's a bad word, because even if I'm just laying in bed reading a book, that's being productive for my mental health. So I think I'm just going to learn to loosen my grip on trying to force everything to work and take a step back and let it work out on its own, because I know it will. If it's in God's plan, it will. And I hope that gives you ideas of what you're going to do this week. I think this is going to be an amazing week. I am so glad that I thought of this topic, and that being in a season of learning, being in a season of growth is just something that applies to everyone at any point in your life. So I hope it helps. I hope you do it. I'm just having self-realization moments where I'm sitting here talking about how I don't need to be doing something every second of the day. When I worked a 12-hour shift last night, took a 5-hour nap, did emails, did social media posts. I'm doing the podcast right now and I'm going to boxing in 45 minutes. But, sometimes that's just like how I show self-care, I guess, is like booking myself solid. And honestly, sitting down and talking to the balance community just like heals and like cures everything for me. So I am back on night shift. You guys are going to see so many more delusional talks. I'll do another episode on nursing and just night shift in general, but I hope you guys have been enjoying the episodes. I hope you all went and listened to the Annabelle Beach episode about nursing. If you have any questions, that's such a good episode. We talked about a lot of the same things, confidence, 20s, all of that, and I feel like I'm starting to get into a flow with the episodes, what I want to talk about, and I feel like you guys are starting to get to know me and my vibes, and I think it's been so amazing. I've had a few people come up to me and say that they listen to the podcast, and I appreciate that so much. You guys have no idea how much this means to me. If no one's listening, or if one person's listening, if I make a difference for one person, that's why I'm doing it. I want to be here to inspire you to grow, inspire you to learn, and just like navigate life with me, because I have no idea what I'm doing. You probably have no idea what you're doing, so let's like have no idea together and like kind of figure it out and just be the best people we want to be and take the risks. As Mel Robbins said, try, you're not going to die, you're just going to learn something. So Mel Robbins always knows what's going on. So let's do that this week, learn and grow. I will see you guys next week. I also, before I end the episode, I've been posting so randomly. So I like originally was doing Mondays, but that was really hard with my nursing schedule. So then I was thinking Wednesdays, but the past 2 weeks it's been Thursdays. But depending on when I edit and like upload this, what day of the week should I be uploading? Like I can't decide if it's a day or if it's every week, it doesn't matter, or doing bi-weekly and having like a set date. I don't know. That's something I need to figure out with my nursing schedule. Now that I'm back on night shift, I'm mainly working weekdays. I only work one weekend a month now that I've been there for almost a year. Love that, because sometimes in healthcare you get stuck working weekends, but I've kind of gotten out of that. So hopefully that helps with being able to upload and create certain days. But right now I'm just trying to upload weekly. The days are kind of all over the place, so keep your notifications on and I'll update you with how all of that is going. Also, March 1st, we're doing the Balanced event. More details are coming out. Follow the socials. We're dropping some sneak peeks and a lot of media and content about that. So I'm so excited. It's going to be so amazing. And if you listen to the podcast, I want you there, because that's the whole reason I'm doing it. So many fun brands are donating things, bringing things. I'm just so excited. I'm going to do a whole episode with like how I'm planning it and like going into details about it. So I don't want to say too much, but over the next 2 weeks, stay tuned, because I think majority of the details and everything will be out. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the love and support. I love you guys. I hope you have a great week and learn and grow to be the best you that you want to be. And yeah, I hope you learned something, because honestly, even just talking about it, I learned so much about learning and growing, obviously, but that's like, I swear I said learning and growing like probably 500 times, but that's just the season we're in. That's the era we're in, and it's only going to go up from here. It's only going to get better. I hope you guys enjoyed so much. I love you all.